Ah, so there, of course. Now it's camera's choosing to. Hold on. Hold on. I had everything ready to go, but cameras not work. One moment while I fix this. That's over. Moment, almost there. Okay, that's better. All right. Hello, everyone. Doing? Happy Saturday. We made it. One more week. We're in the weekend. Everyone is doing okay and COVID free and all that stuff. Oh, captions are working too. Good. What's happening with me? Not a whole lot's happening. Made it through the week. We've got a 3-day weekend coming up here at Memorial Day. Here on Monday. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What's happening out there in Twitch land, or YouTube, or Facebook land, or Twitter land with all of you? I don't really have. I was more prepared today, but obviously not prepared enough because of my camera, right? But I don't have a lot of the sorts of articles I want to go over. But yeah, we got a bunch here to go over. We'll go over it, and then I guess no new toys, no new tech. Yeah, that's pretty. Got a car last week. I don't know if I told. Pretty sure I told you guys. It's a Kia Sportage compact SUV, 2019. So it's fairly new. It's got one of the nice bells and whistles we've ever had. Normally we've had cars that are 7 or 8 years. But we got this, and of course the wife is driving it most like with the old. No, that is how it goes, right? I'm working on my writing about how the shift from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic, and then going to that era and artificial scarcity era, which we're not in, and then going in Interstellar New Deal, and then to so kind of working on that. I do want to get a lot more of that kind of researched and written as I can. That's something I talk about a lot on here, and it'd be good to have a blog post out there. Well, and this is also something that I want to include in a larger thing that I'm working on, but I'm not sure how I want. Either I can put it in there as just, or I plan on cutting it parts, like the first 2 parts, that era, and artificial scarcity era. Then you've got with Interstellar New Deal. I've broken into 3 parts, or might be one large writing about different eras that we. So I'm not sure. I have to get a lot more writing done, and I'll larger book type writing. It's there. If you want to read more kind of about that in my Discord, there's a link. I think in the graphic that I use for that, as well as the rough draft I'm working on. If you're that bored. All right, I'm standing today. My standing desk up. I'm trying to start standing because I'm past week or so. So I'm that. So with that, we're going to move on to our first article. If I can get order right this time. Last week I was heavy. All right. So any questions, comments, suggestions before we move forward? Read anything? Bueller? Okay. So this the first article here is: Did war help societies become bigger and more complex? This is from just over a month ago. From Big Thing. data collected from ancient civilizations across the world, researchers identified the most significant factors of development, or came on top. So, yeah, it really comes down to resources and power. You take over another city, you've got more people, more resources, more slaves to exploit. Yeah, the more aggressive you can be, sure, you get access to more resources, even more expertise, so you can do better. But the same could also be said as if, instead of if cities would have cooperated together instead of murdering each other. More ahead in that way. But let's see what they have to say. Key takeaways. About 10,000 years ago, civilization began to develop at an exponential rate. Scholars have often explained growth broad theory, one focusing on agriculture and the other on conflict. This year, researchers looked at statistics empires to determine which the two were. Well, I will say, and this is part of my writing that I kind of talk about, that the primary precursor for war was the advent of agriculture. Agriculture brought people to be homesteading, to be in one place instead of being nomadic, and that also created private property. Misogyny and patriarchy, and all the other bad things. So, agriculture, which brought on scarcity and brought on settled, was what created agriculture, and which is what created war as well, because you have less land to get resources from and less resources, and the technological efficiency which to get resources also much lower in that agrarian revolution. But also with that is because they were living in relative scarcity, and because settled life, especially doing farming, requires a much higher resource requirements per person, that created the drive for war, inequality, all this other stuff, because they needed more land to get more resources to provide for the people, more slave labor to work the land. So it's for me, it's actually scarcity is what are shift from hunter-gatherer to agriculture as a living relative scarcity, which creates that's how I go about it. Okay, let's see what they have to say. If you were to plot the development of human civilization defined by population size as well as economic and cultural output, among other factors, you find that development is not linear but exponential. For tens of thousands of years, lived in basic social organization. Then, around 10,000 years ago, everything changed. In a small period of time, hunter-gatherers settled into villages. Those villages then grew into cities into kingdoms, and those states. Right, because the agrarianism allows specialization of labor, which also gives people time to specialize in something other than labor. Education, learning, growth, science, and that sort of thing. Scholars of various academic disciplines, including history, economics, and sociology, have long searched for the root cause of this development. Currently, they are divided between two theories, one functionalist, the other based on conflict. Functionalist theory, which emerged in the 1960s, focuses on a society's ability to navigate organizational challenges, like the provision of public goods. According to this theory, trade, healthcare, irrigation systems, all agriculture, key factors that allowed civilization to evolve into form. Conflict theory, much older than its functionalist counterpart, takes a different approach. It is concerned not with a society's ability to solve problems related to food supply and public health, but its ability to fight internal and external threats in the forms of class struggle or war. Conflict theory is based on biology. Just as the evolution of animal species is governed by that of the predators, so too is the sociological development of any given society kept in check by the military might of its closest enemies. Okay, so, and again, this whole conflict theory does not exist unless societies are settled. Not settled unless they have agriculture. So it's the The precondition for conflict theory is the existence of settled tribes, which is created broad scale throughout history because of the advent of the agrarian revolution, farming for domestication. That's yeah. While scholars view agriculture as crucial to sociological development, they often don't know what to make of war. The majority of archaeologists are against the warfare theory. Peter Turchin, an evolutionary anthropologist at the University of Connecticut Shores, told nobody likes this ugly idea because obviously warfare is a horrible thing and we don't like to think that it can have any positive effects. Undeterred by this widespread bias, Turchin has spent much of his career researching war, including military technology. Yep. Being able to murder other people, take their stuff is been a huge advancement in science. Survival. And psychopathy. Early this year, Turchin put together an international team of researchers to find the most important factors in the rise of empires. Results of their study, published in the academic journal Science Advances on June 4th, suggest that war, specifically the use of cavalries and iron weapons, Iron Age, just as, if not more important than agriculture. This conclusion tosses a wrench into functionalist framework, though not everyone is. Yeah, because, again, this sort of stuff would not exist without agriculture, settled society. That's kind of the, in playing a game, civilization or something, without agriculture, none of this other stuff happen. That is the key thing, agriculture, that unlocks all the other technology, for the most part. History in numbers. The origins and purpose of war have usually been studied by artists and philosophers, people who work through experience and logic. Turchin prefers to use data, raw, concrete, and empirical data. Data for the study was pulled from Seshat Global History Data Bank, a resource that compiles numerical entries on more than 400 societies. These range from basic details such as population size and agricultural production to highly specific metrics like whether the society in question employed full-time bureaucrats. Think of the Seshat Data Bank as world history distilled into numbers. From this point, Turchin constructed complicated, fairly straightforward analysis. It shows social complexity, defined by population size, social hierarchy, and specialization of governance as their dependent variable, and tested its relationship with 17 dependent variables. One of these variables was the provision of public goods, which in turn was aggregated from other and smaller variables like the presence or absence of water supply systems, bridges, sites. Some of the independent variables, like the one described above, were formulated to test the functional hypothesis. Others, like the sophistication variety of military technologies used by society, evaluate conflict theory. Another conflict-related variable is variety and society's defend itself, defined by the amount invested in, like weapons, armor. The role of this variable, according to the study, is to reflect the cooperative investment in strengthening preparedness and effectiveness of threats. Cavalry was two variables were found to have particularly strong correlation with complexity. The longer society practiced agriculture, the more likely it was to become so complex. Of course, the same went for military technology, especially the use of mounted combat in iron weapons. Conventional historians had already suspected as much, but now their words are reinforced. According to Turchin's study, cavalry increased the maximum size of civilizations by one order of magnitude, 100,000 to 3 million square kilometers. Wow, that's pretty. I suppose, but if they're going to have cavalry, they definitely have domesticated animals for riding and have domesticated as well, which greatly extends how much area that they can communicate over and manage. Pattern emerges across the world and is even repeated at certain points. Spanish colonizers brought horses to America. During the 16th century, the average size of Native American civilizations increased just as it had in Europe. So, among the these civilizations was the Comanche Empire, which ruled over the Great Plains as well as parts of Texas and Mexico. Unlike in Eurasia, the so-called cavalry revolution did not come to full fruition because it was overtaken by another technological gunpowder. I think part of that was also because much into conquering each other, not that there was violence was, but murdering each other for fun and profit wasn't big of a pastime as the past. The role of war questioned. While Turchin's study has received a lot of attention from the academic community, not everyone is equally convinced. Taylor, an anthropologist at the University of Colorado Boulder, Science.org, that he agrees horses were an agent of change. Time reminds readers that archaeologists are still unsure when people are riding them, that, as such, the variable may produce a larger margin of error when applied to civil mass. Monique Borgerhoff-Mulder, professor of anthropology and California Davis, also has a bone to pick with the study. Talking to the same publication, she applauded Turchin for taking a macro-level quantitative approach to it. But can we really feel confident claiming that variables like cavalry had a noteworthy impact on social complexity when said complexity did not merge after cavalry widespread? Okay. So they're saying that cavalry came before social. Study shortcomings are also addressed by the authors. Focusing purely on social complexity, they evidently failed to consider a society's cultural and economic complexity. It's no trivial matter, as expressing development in relations, turning a blind eye to the people of Sub-Africa, Americas, and indigenous population. People who lived in communities that, though small in numbers and lacking hierarchical organization, were nonetheless sophisticated in their right. And out. Llama, alpaca, I can't tell the difference. One or the other. Top of all that, Turchin's statistical model is not full. Conflict-related variables, for instance, fail to explain the rise of the Inca Empire, which managed to replace large territory and complicated government structure despite having neither iron weapons nor horses. Did, however, have a domesticated transport animal in llama. Riding of llamas, the author speculate, could have given edge over other societies in South America, allowing them to grow as large, prosperous as they did. So I think, sure, that's maybe part of it, but also their agriculture was fairly advanced for the time. They very great agriculture. That a huge part of it. Plus, that because they didn't have horses or their mass transport that they spent a lot of time running game going. Not that Turchin and his team did not think variables like agriculture, religion, or economy do not contribute to complexity. Instead, they feel that these variables alone are not sufficient to explain the exponential growth of civilizations. It took place over the past 10 years. They also suggest that the importance of war to that process need not be in as a bad thing. The crucial ingredient in evolution, explained before mentioned, was competition, not violence. Yeah, competition is the precursor for violence. And again, once you get to the Neolithic Revolution, agrarianism, private property, you have to protect your property, protect your investment, and you're competing with others for land and resources that you can survive. And everything all comes down to farming, getting of all the bad things. All right, so there is the first one. So yeah, war much as we talked about earlier, it has had a huge impact on societies to advance. Because you get more land, resources, and you also get more slaves and others to do the work. Band. That allows the primary people of their civilization to invest in science, that while the slaves or prisoners of war do all the backbreaking work. All right, so that's the first one. Questions, comments, suggestions on that before we move on? Alright, here we go. This is from July 1st. Month old, barely. 17-minute flight. Super rich who have absolute disregard for the planet. This is referring to Kylie Jenner, far from the only celebrity to ops using private jets despite mounting concerns over the climate crisis. Now, private jets have to go away, as long as they are powered by fossil fuels. Kylie Jenner has faced a torrent of criticism for her decision to take her private jet, on a flight that lasts just 17 minutes. The practice of taking brief journeys on luxury aircraft appears to be common among the rich and famous, despite mounting concerns with the climate crisis. Jenner, the 24-year-old socialite and businesswoman, has faced online opprobrium after she posted an Instagram picture of herself and her partner, rapper Travis Scott, on the runway of an airport between two private jets with the caption, "You want to take mine or yours?" According to an automated Twitter account that tracks celebrity flights based on responders' markings, Jenner's flight on 12 July lasted 7 minutes, taking her from Van Nuys in Los Angeles to the nearby town of Camarillo. Model had earlier taken a 7-minute trip jet, a 72-minute Bombardier B100 to Van Nuys from Thermal, California. Here's the Thermal, half an hour, 20 minutes, Nuys, and back to Camarillo, 7 and 20. Subsequently attacked by Twitter users for her absolute disregard for the planet and for being a full-time climate criminal. Okay, good. It's estimated that her 17-minute jaunt would have resulted in carbon dioxide emissions, which, while itself not a huge amount, is about a quarter of the total carbon footprint of the average person globally. The trip would have taken Jenner about 40 minutes in a car, causing just a fraction of the Jenner, who took an even shorter flight, lasting just 9 minutes between the same two locations in June, far from the only celebrity to make short hops using aircraft rather than driving or of course. Because, of course, rich people are sociopaths, and then review the celebrity jets. Tracking account shows that just in the past month, rapper Drake took an 18-minute flight from Hamilton, Ontario to Toronto. And Chesney, country music singer, was in the air for just 20 minutes between Akron, Ohio and Pittsburgh. And the actor Mark Wahlberg took an 23-minute flight from Dublin to County Clare in Ireland, among other short trips. Many of these flights are to park an aircraft at a convenient location or part of a longer two-part journey. But many appear to have weird rationale, such as Floyd Mayweather, the boxer, to fly 14 minutes from Las Vegas to nearby Henderson and then fly 10 minutes back on Monday. Okay, then here's a listing of plane owner, the route, duration, tons, how many tons? I'm not surprised people are upset. They are right to be mad about this, said Jens, creator of the Celebrity Jets account, which is data from a company that tracks aircraft responders. Meaning a student at the University of South Florida has a similar account that just tracks the private jet of yeah, I've heard about that. Multi-billionaire Tesla. In May, Musk took a 28-minute flight in jet between Austin, Texas, but soon he believes he should be judged differently. Elon, he's just trying to be as quick as possible and efficient. But someone like Kim Kardashian, who has taken long and short private jet flights, is posting air and flexing that, he said. Private jets are responsible for around 4% of all aviation emissions. According to a 2016 study with the airline industry, I need to point out that flying in general comprises just a small fraction of the overall sources of planet gases. Somehow doesn't understand. However, private aircraft emit more than 33 million tons of greenhouse gases, more than the country of Denmark. Because they carry so few people, they are 5 to 14 times more polluting than planes per passenger, but 50 times more polluting than planes. Startlingly, flights show its impact on the wealthy while emissions. Said Scott Hutchberg, attorney at the Center for Biological Diversity's climate policy. The problem starts at the top with Kylie Jenner and other celebrities with private jets, which have a much larger impact than commercial aircraft on a per-passenger basis. But it also includes many others, as the U.S. constitutes the bulk of the wealthy elite that have the luxury of flying. Again, it's not elite, it is the predatory class, the wealthy predatory class that have the luxury of flying. Emissions from private jets flown in the U.S. have surged in the 1990s and will balloon further as larger and more aircraft come on the market. Short trips using private jets are not solely an American phenomenon. In 2019, 1/10 of all flights departing France were private jets, with half traveling less than 500 kilometers. Frequent use of aviation, domain of the world's wealthy, with just 1% of the population responsible for half of the emissions associated with flying. That again, just 1% of the global population responsible for half of the emissions associated with flying. I think I need to add that to my policies, down with private jets. I don't think I've put that in there specifically. There are plenty of alternatives to private jets, and wanting to avoid traveling with the hoi polloi isn't a good enough reason for excessive pollution, said Nikita Pavlenko, fuels team at the International Council on Short Flights have emissions that are small in relative terms, but per person they are staggering. Aviation emissions are growing exponentially year over year, and private jet pollution is growing more than aviation. Major airlines have announced climate plans that include commitments to ramp up the use of low emissions aviation fuels, such as cooking oil or hydrogen. Joe Biden's administration last year unveiling a goal of a 20% cut in aviation emissions by 2020. Again, fuck Biden. If you are not going for carbon neutral by 2030, you're wasting voting for. That's fuck Joe Biden. This target, however, is voluntary. So it's voluntary, so it means everyone's going to support it. Just like the fucking Paris Climate, like the COP agreement, fucking toothless, nothing behind it. And this shows you how much of a bitch that Biden and his administration really is. If it's voluntary, it doesn't mean anything. It's not worth the paper and the time it took. The target, however, is voluntary, and there has been no significant shift by the industry towards lessening its climate impact. Well, when our president's a fucking bitch for the fossil fuel industry, what do you expect? Aviation decarbonization is largely all talk and little substance in the US. Yep. Just talking about, said Pavlenko. As for celebrities, they need to set a positive example and ditch the planes. At the very least, they should exhibit some leadership and use tools or zero emission plane. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, there you go. Questions, comments, suggestions? I think they restream reduce the number, reduce the number of services you could stream to unless you pay. That happened last week. Anybody, anyone, anybody, anyone? Nothing? All right. From August. Okay, yeah, sorry, we're in September. Like, wait, the future. Yeah, so this is from last month. Spending time in nature is good for you. Why? Well, I'm sure a lot of it at its very core has its root in ecology. That's evolutionarily where we have, as hunter-gatherers, have our brains have evolved. All right, a new study reveals the connection between nature and well-being is more significant than thought. Researchers discovered 227 linked non-material pathways that benefit being described as. While the majority of findings are positive, some negative associations are identified. Study findings can help inform practices and policies in management. Stayed up a little late last night. Warhammer 40k. I'm in towards the end of the game where I am hunting down the Reapers. 5 of them I've killed. I'm going on to the 3rd one. I have it saved like right before going into the 3rd of the 5 of Demon Lord sort of. I stayed up later, I think last week too. And I stayed up last night as well. Not that late, like 11. Last time it was like almost 12 o'clock last night. A little bit tired from that. I can't drink Mountain Dew, so that has completely wrecked my sleeping. Already having enough. So that's going well. I don't completely suck at that game. I think I'm on my like 4th restart of the game. I start, learn some things, restart, learn some more things, restart, learn some more things, and then I'm like, okay, now I can go, I can play and not complete. So yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good with that game. Hopefully, maybe this weekend I'll finish. This weekend or by next weekend I'll finish. That's my hope. Numerous studies have revealed the positive effects that nature and the surrounding environment can have on mental and physical well-being. Now, new research published on August 5th from the University of Tokyo suggests the benefits of spending time in nature extend much farther than previously believed. Researchers conducted a system of 300 academic articles spanning 60 countries on cultural ecosystem services, also known as the non-material or intangible contributions to well-being that nature provides. They identified 227 unique pathways that link a single cultural ecosystem services. So, as a part of accessibility, I say for abbreviations, acronyms, first you have to have it expanded, short form, and then after that you can short form it. But preferably don't use the short form at all, because it makes right here I'm like, oh, all the way back here again, right? One of the abilities, don't force people to things. Even as something as simple as this, not even a sentence away, I couldn't remember it, right? Cultural ecosystem. So it's better not use abbreviation and just use the entire expanded. Okay, they identified 227 unique pathways that link a single cultural ecosystem service to a single constituent of human being, which is many more than we initially thought. Explained. Study co-author Alexandros Baratos, PhD, associate professor of science at the initiatives at the University of Nature and Well-Being. What's the link? Spiritos said that connecting with nature provides opportunities for recreation, leisure, spiritual fulfillment, personal development, social relations, and aesthetic experiences. Previous studies have shown that engaging in such opportunities can provide benefits such as enhanced physical health, social cohesion, and a sense of place. Isn't there a Japanese word that specifically talks about thing by just where I saw a word for that? Alongside the 227 pathways identified by University of researchers, Gaspertos said they also determined individual mechanisms. Gaspertos described these as the overarching types of connection through which more pathways. According to Gasparatos, previous studies had already highlighted some of the mechanisms. New research has identified 10 more. These include cohesive, development of meaningful human interaction, nature, formative, elements such as mood, attitude, behavior, values consistently for a short duration following nature. Satisfactive, feeling that your expectations are satisfied through interaction. Ascendant, attaining benefits related to religious or spiritual values after interaction. Though the findings are not necessarily surprising, at least to experts in our field, our study provides the first comprehensive effort to systematize them. Gasparatos said, since it provides a cohesive information-based and consistent framework of how these link. When it comes to connecting with nature and the environment, these mechanisms are stimulated in various ways. For instance, a general stroll in the forest, helping out with the cleanup, exploring a new or foraging for berries are all activity. Connection. In a sense, it's also stimulating for evolutionary psychology as rooted in our hunter-gatherer forefathers. Stimulating our hunter-gatherer Researchers also noted that a crossover mechanism may earn further impact. For instance, caring for nature with the nature-based recreation activities of gardening would encompass both cognitive and evolutionary mechanisms. Stimulation doesn't always have to come from the outside. Century is known to builders of temples worldwide that their high ceilings nudge us toward abstract thoughts and awe, explained Michael Matlin, placed an architectural psychologist at the Living. Yeah, high vaultings, having a lot of plants inside the house, inside the building. Researchers like Esperatos say that it's been challenging to gauge the true effects of nature. Though we have a good level of understanding of the non-material benefits of human well-being exist, we are still not very sure as to the actual ways that connections happen, reality, actual effect on different aspects. Largely because many of the existing studies have used different methodologies and metrics to focus on individual benefits, ecosystem, graphical. So, Baratos said that he and his research team were able to better understand reality as well as their relative effects on aspects. Biggest benefits were seen in physical health with recreation, aesthetic value, all notable cultural, environmental systems. Okay. Cultural, environmental, significant roles of cultural environmental systems in driving feelings of connectedness and belonging followed second, as well as in establishing. According to Gaspertos, a variety of factors can influence pathways impact on learning. These include demographic background, gender, income, characteristics of landscape, size of shape, elements, distance to site, cultural factors, and preference, and so on. Not all of nature's effects were positive. Despite finding myriad benefits in analysis, the research also saw not so cultural environmental systems and human discovering negative mechanisms, less pathways. Though we knew that such link might exist, there are a few studies that try to systematize this information. The primary factors were recognized as contributors to degradation or loss of an existing cultural system, such as unmaintained park or building development. Services constant loud tweeting of birds outside your window, which some might find annoying. It is annoying because they start like in the summer, start like 5 or 6 o'clock. Ding. You don't typically up, but I'm getting up and wake me up on the rare occasion. I'm like, ah! But yes, he also identified the existence of trade-offs, whereby some individuals benefit from a particular cultural environmental system, but others do not. For example, in indigenous community, promotion of tourism activities create opportunity for visitors with multiple benefits being health, etc. Economic benefits to some locals, economic locals. However, at the same time, he adds the challenges of dealing with the influx of tourists can compromise different well-being components for other locals, i.e. spirituality. Still, it's important to remember that these study findings were largely positive. Overall, there is a higher prevalence in literature, positive high magnitude impacts on well-being, while there is a comparatively lower prevalence of lower magnitude impacts. So for me, now part of this is my personality. I'm an introvert, so for me, I would prefer to live kind of out in the country where there's lots of around me, of course, specifically, and still have my internet. As long as I have my internet, my computer, I'm good to go. I like isolation, then I can go outside. If on the rare case that the weather's nice enough for me to not to go outside. Because of humidity, not doing it. Not doing it. We know that being outdoors, being in various environments can provide a host of benefits, but exactly how does it impact our physiological states? Nature's benefits are facilitated not only by visual stimuli, but also its sound, smells, and senses. According to environmental psychologists in Chambers, studies have shown that we have a physiological response to these environments, including heart rate, blood pressure, also be a level of psychological integration with lowering cortisol, improving concentration, and persistent connection. As a result of these effects, participants in previous research studies have reported stress levels, anxiety and depression, boost in confidence. How much time should you spend looking? Half an hour every day. Busy schedules, it's not always possible to devote hours to engage in outdoor activities, especially for those who live in areas. How long should you immerse yourself in nature or choose benefits? While researchers in this particular study didn't explore this factor, other studies have offered suggestions. One of the first well-known environmental just a little bit. I'm not sure how well my mic is coming out. Let me know if the mic. Oh. Okay. Thanks. I was just looking at that. Okay, good to know. I just turned the music down and I turned my mic up. Hey man, how you doing, man? I'm good. I left my music on by accident. I gotcha. Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear you're doing better. Good. Yeah, we're doing okay. Still streamed once a week. We got a new car. I talked about that last week. A Kia Sportage. It's a compact SUV. I couldn't afford an electric. Not that that's. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's 2019 and it's got the the cameras and stuff like that. So this is like the newest car I've ever had. Yeah, it's kind of small. We looked at a Nissan. Was it another Pathfinder like 2018? But we chose the Kia, a Sportage. It looks nice. It's still too loud? Okay. I've been turning it down. How is that? Turn the mic up too? The mic. I wasn't sure when I started. Because I have to reset all my sound settings, everything when I start, which is annoying. So hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, good. Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty. We've got, it's basically silver one. Just like this. Yep, it's a little smaller in space than I would like, but it's, I'm not like, I feel crunched into the driver's seat. I haven't been in the passenger seat yet, but it's, I'm not really crunched in there, but it's got the Bluetooth link into it, so I can play my music through my phone, and a bunch of other stuff in there too. I haven't even had a chance to really get into. My wife's the one who drives it all the time because I'm always here in my office, in front of the computer, so I get the I get to drive the older car. That's our Pathfinder. So, yeah, there it is. That's a good thing. We're happy about that. That'll be nice. That's really all that's going on with me. I mean, I've been playing Warhammer 40k Demon Gates. I'm towards the end of that. There at the end, I have to kill like the 5 Reapers, like 5 Demon Lords of Nurgle. I've killed 2 of them. I saved it right about where I'm going to go kill the 3rd one. So hopefully by next week I'll have this game finished. And normally I'm not able to finish games because I suck at games, but this one I'm doing well enough that I can do that. So that's kind of nice. Although with this one, this game I started once, learned some stuff, restarted again. This is I think my 4th restart where I had enough understanding of how the game works that I could keep going forward. So yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's been fun. It's been fun. All right. So we've gone over this. This is the first one we went over. Did war help societies become bigger and more complex? And then we just finished this one on private jets, which is stupid. Yeah, I enjoyed. If I can do well at it, anyone can do well at it. Yeah, it's a turn-based small unit tactics. Are you into Warhammer at all? What does more? Yeah. So just allowing the society to expand and get bigger. Right, there it is. Reading, it's fundamental. Yeah, and basically, they have 2 different ways of looking at it. The war aspect and then the link to farming. For me, farming is what enables all of this. Without having private property, without having land to protect, specialization of labor which comes from it, and stuff like that, that is what creates war. That's the Neolithic Revolution creates all of this. And I'm working on that writing as well, too, a little bit, on the 6 stages of kind of evolution. The Paleolithic, the Neolithic Revolution, and then you've got the debt, the era of debt, and then the era of artificial scarcity, and then interstellar New Deal, and then resource-based economy. So I'm working on that. I like to get it done at some point because it'll be, because I talk about it enough here that at least I'll give you guys something to read, and I can also share this with others as well. So yeah, that's about all that's happening with me. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and we're reading this one right now. Here we go. Why being in nature is good. We're, I think, most of the way through it. You know, being in nature is good. It works on your evolutionary psychology. We're meant to be, you know, hunter-gatherers, so there's a lot of great benefits to it. That's basically what they're saying here. Okay. Oh yes, how much time should you spend in nature? That's where we're at. Ton in nature over the last few weeks. Rode almost. Oh really? Oh cool. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I haven't done my walks at all, which is annoying, and I've kind of fell off my paleo diet a bit. I spent probably the last 2 weeks eating lots of Reese's peanut butter cups and almond joys for the last 2 weeks. So I'm trying to get back on the train so I can lose the next 20 pounds. 2 days ago to Vaduz, which is the capital of Liechtenstein. Oh wow, around 61 kilometers from where I live. Oh wow, damn dude, that's big. So that's 40 miles ish. That's a lot. Cool. Good for you. It's really good. It's really good for your body to do that. I just need to get back into walking because I just need to get my body moving more. Haven't been doing my yoga either as much the last 2 weeks. So at least you've been balancing my lack of activity out. So that's good. I appreciate that. Yeah, that imperial bullshit. Someday, maybe, we'll get our heads out of our asses and switch over to metric. 38 miles. Okay. Yeah, right about 40. Cool. That's a lot of writing. Did you do it in one day? Yikes. Your calves must be huge, like watermelons. Oh, it's either your calves are really big or you're really sore afterwards. It could be both. I remember doing like almost a 10 kilometer hike once in the Czech Republic with one of my friends, and I was so sore afterwards. Oh my god, so sore. I'd probably still be sore now. I mean, my normal walk is about 2 miles. But still, that's a lot of walking. A lot of walking. And I'm getting old and I'm falling apart. Gotta get back on paleo, keep doing my yoga, and do my walks again. It's hard to do it. But I gotta get back into it. So I'm not getting any younger. Not at all. All right. Didn't want to ride for that long. The surrounding was really pretty, and I was like, oh yeah, let's ride for another 20 minutes, and then I'll go back. Oh yeah. I was around 85 miles that day. I climbed a mountain when oh my god. Wow, dude, you got so much energy. It's good to be young. Well, good for you. That's awesome. Got that pretty of a view that kept you going, and you went up to the mountain too. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Good for you. Keep doing it. It'll help keep you young. Once you hit 30, things change. 40 even more so. If you keep that activity going, you help push that aging off. Yeah. Oh, and I've got Dungeons and Dragons tomorrow. We have our last session for our current campaign, and then 2 weeks after we'll be starting Spelljammer, which I'm excited for. I'm playing a yeah, I know. I've got a female dwarven wizard, and she'll have a level of artificer or so. So that's gonna be exciting. We've got Yeah, it does. Usually I die because that's my thing. Um, but hopefully I won't this time. I've been pretty good lately of not dying. My character's a tank, so it's kind of par for the course for tanks, right? Because they're always up there. And I'm sword and board. I've got sword and shield, and I've got full plate on. Although I'm using mithril plate instead of like +1 or +2 plate. So my my armor class isn't quite maximized. I only have like an AC of 20. Actually, I have a 22 with some other stuff going on, which is pretty decent, but a straight 20 at this level is just okay. So I've taken my fair share of damage that way. For my feats, though, I've kept getting whacked by spellcasters, which really pisses me off. So I took resilience in wisdom saves, because like the first one I got hit really hard was a symbol of pain, which had me out for the whole combat, which was really annoying. And I also took Mage Slayer as well, because whenever there's a caster on the field, I'm like, you're mine, and I charge him. And it's worked out pretty well so far. Yeah. So hopefully, and our last combat is going to be against, I think, a Lich. So hopefully my anti-caster still too loud? Son of a bitch. Okay. How's that? Better? So hopefully I won't get taken out again. We'll see. It's a Lich and it'll probably be some vampires too. Lich and I think vampires is what we're going to be going against. It's really undead heavy campaign. And they even had a town where they said that there's no vampires in the town when there definitely was vampires in the town. So that was fun. Yep, tomorrow night it happens. Then we get ready to play 2 weeks from now. Is it the same level? It's not going down at all? Okay, how about now? I wonder if it's because I'm taking it for the wrong place. What the? No, it's going from the right place. Interesting. Is it better? Okay. Good. Good. So we have like a GIF artificer. I'm a dwarven wizard. We have. What else do we have? An elf rogue. 3. What else do we have? Hold on, I'll pull this up. We don't have any humans in the group, which is unusual. Normally half our party is human. Rutko, man, how you doing? Welcome. I'm doing pretty good. I'm streaming again only once a week, Saturdays, but I'm doing okay. Oh yeah, we have a Plasmoid Cleric and a Dragonborn Monk. There we go. And we might have one human barbarian. He hasn't decided on this yet. Path of Wild Magic, but we'll see. So it'll be an interesting group. Yep, we're finishing our last session tomorrow of our current campaign. It'll be against a Lich and some vampires, I think. And I'm playing a Earth Genasi fighter, Rune Slayer, and I kind of specialized in. I've taken the Resilience feat for Wisdom saves and the Mage Slayer feat as well. I'm Sword and Shield, and I hate spellcasters because they keep taking me out. I got hit with a Symbol of Pain once for like the whole fucking combat, which was annoying. So I took Resilience after that and Mage Slayer after that. So yeah, we got that going, and then 2 weeks from this week we'll be going into Spelljammer. I'm playing a female dwarven wizard. Hoping to do some jamming myself. We have enough casters in there that I may not have to. Maybe I'll deal with repelling boarding parties or whatever. So yeah, I'm excited about that. This female dwarven wizard is a version of a character I've wanted to play. Yeah, I know. That's one of the reasons why I like it. Especially now with mountain dwarves, they get light and medium armor for armor. So I can play Gish. You Tiefling? Yeah. I've played one or two. I haven't gotten into that quite so much. If you've looked at D&D 1 or 1D&D, their playtest, they've got another set of Tieflings that they've got 3 sets of Tieflings, 3 from the Abyss, from the Hells, 9 Hells, and then 1 for Acheron for the Yugoloths. I found some neat types of the Tieflings that are from the Yugoloths that I would consider playing. Yeah. Dwarves, I usually play dwarves and elves, anything but humans. Like the winged ones, but not... Ah, okay. Yeah, they create... I think they might be getting rid of the Aasimar and using Ardlings instead, which are from Celestia. Or maybe they'll still have Aasimar. And the Celestials do have flying a number of times per day equal to their proficiency bonus. So, yeah, that's still in there. That's in there. It's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. I'm excited to play, especially in Spelljammer. That's something that I played a lot of when I was way back in the day. In 2nd edition, we played a lot of that. A whole lot of that. Whole lot of that. That and a lot of Planescape stuff too. That was fun. So long ago. Made a character. Ooh, Photoshop. Tieflinged Patrick Bateman from American Psycho on the body of a wizard from Witcher. Okay. That's cool. That works. Fire, lots of fire. Cool. Took you like 5 minutes? Yeah. I have Photoshop at home and at work, but I don't quite know enough on how to use it well. It's, there's a whole degree path just for Photoshop. Like, one thing I would like to learn is masks, layer masks or whatever. Because I know that's a powerful tool, which I'd like to have access to, but I don't know. Got too much stuff to study, not enough time to... I'm doing a lot of that in... Actually, I'll show you. No, it's over here. This post in is about accessibility. I have a whole bunch of memes on here for they're accessibility related memes. If you're not into accessibility for web, it may not mean much to you, but I've made a whole bunch of memes for accessibility. When I was going through the interview process for my current job, I had 2 interviews, and the first one, she asked, how well do you speak in memes? I'm like, I haven't in the past, but I can learn. So I started doing a whole bunch of memes for accessibility, and I sent them to her as well. And after my second interview, I got the job. So there's a bunch here, and I have a bunch more. I have a few more that I made for this as well. Oh, you're at law school, so doing much IT job names. Ah, okay. I only know. Okay, yeah. That stuff is going to be very accessibility centric. That's why I wasn't staying on these too much or reading them, because unless you're into accessibility, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you. But yeah, I've done a little bit of that. Sometimes the hardest part of working on memes is just finding the base image. Once you find the base image and put it into Photoshop, then look, it's easy to go to town and do stuff. Good. Yeah, make memes. Memes are fun. They're entertaining. in a lot of my blog posts, I'll use memes to help explain things. Helps to lighten up the serious nature of what I what I write about. So we've read 2 posts already. I'll go ahead and share these here for you. Did war help societies become bigger, more complex? And then one on private jets. Now we're on one about being in nature. Also had a thing I kind of wanted to discuss if you're interested. I know your opinions are a little different than mine, so I want to give you a shot. Sure, go ahead. Yep, it's always welcome. I have no problem telling people they're wrong. Or right. What you got, Rutko? What you got? Well, while you're typing, I'll keep reading. Reading. How much time should you spend in nature? With busy schedules, it's not always possible to devote hours to engaging in outdoor activities, especially for those who live in urban areas. So how long should you immerse yourself in nature in order to receive the benefits? While the researchers in this particular study didn't explore this factor, other studies have offered suggestions. One of the first well-known environmental psychology studies by Roger Ulrich showed that even just having a view of nature from your hospital bed can shorten your recovery from surgery and influence the amount of pain you feel, Matlin explained. More recently, a 2019 study found that spending 120 minutes outside each week, which can be broken up into smaller blocks of time, was associated with better health and well-being. And another study from 2021 revealed that just 30 minutes of outdoor time could lower blood pressure by almost 10%. The overall consensus is 2 hours a week or more can make a marked difference to reported well-being, and that as little as 20 minutes per day can have a positive impact, Chambers said. Yeah, and my walks are about 33 to 34 minutes. It's like 2.15 miles or something like that. Like I was saying before, that I haven't really been doing my walks in the past few weeks, if not the past month, and I need to get back into doing that. I'm trying to get this extra weight off. And during my walks, I listen to a Star Wars novels. Right now I'm listening to Thrawn Ascendancy, I think. It's about how he came to be who he is. I've listened to the three other of the Thrawn novels, a bunch of the Star Wars High Republic novels. I guess I'm waiting for the next one to come out there. Oh, big. Okay. Had an argument with a friend regarding unpaid internships. Yep, basically she was saying that all internships should be paid. Yep, which I say I agree with for the sake of argument. I just disagree with her justifications that it would help the less advantaged people to get the internship placement. In my opinion, it would just put more pressure into recruiters for those positions to hire the best candidates, which would all be advantaged and privileged. Okay, well, you both have valid points. Now, the issue here, unpaid internships, only people who are rich or well off can do it. Only the privileged, the affluent can do it, right? Which means that children who don't have that sort of means are out of this valuable experience. But on the other side, yeah, you're right that there might be this drive to get, obviously, the kids who are more qualified, which would end up potentially being the more privileged ones. But that would really come down to policy at that point. If they're all getting paid regardless, then you have to look at equal opportunity and other things like that to make sure that you're not just getting the advantage of privileged kids. Unpaid work is exploitation 100%, and definitely that shouldn't be a thing. I disagree with the would-be result would actually happen. Yeah, and that just comes down to policy. That's the only way around it. You have to have the policy of the organization would have to be equal opportunity and making sure that you are taking in people who are not advantaged, who don't have advantages. It's purely a policy thing. Just on principle, no unpaid internships, but if we want to make sure that we get people who are disadvantaged into them, that's purely a policy thing. It has to be done by the institution. Yep. It's exploitation. It's what we do in capitalism, exploit people. But yeah, they should all be paid. And not only should they be paid, they should be unionized by default. unionize all of the things, pay all the things as well. Yeah, otherwise they have no power, no seat at the table if they're not unionized. I was just beaming on her that in reality, only thing that would change is that richer kids would do the same and get paid. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, and that's just kind of shows the issues with the system in general. Yeah, that those of means have more means and more qualifications generally. So it's just shows the issue with the system. It's all fucked up. Need to get rid of money, shift to resource-based economy, because exploitation is required in monetary systems. Maybe watch this after if anyone wants to kind of further to topic health, how reaction to anxiety changes. Okay. Oh, this is a TED Talk. Okay. 14 minutes. All right. Groovy. Thanks for sharing. I'm assuming this one won't piss me off. Probably not. Doesn't sound like it. But it makes sense from the employer side, no. Especially if the spots are limited. Let's say 2 internships at a court or something. It makes sense if they want the best candidates. On the other hand, a person from disadvantaged background. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it's less likely that a person from a disadvantaged background will have the opportunity to get the qualifications to get selected for something like that outside of EOPS and that sort of a thing. But yeah, definitely. And that, again, that will come down to purely policy. Making sure that they are taking in some equal opportunity sorts of hires and that sort of thing. That's important. More on the wholesome side. Okay, good. Appreciate that. Yeah. Internships in general should kind of go away. Yeah, well, anything unpaid should go away, I guess. Should be just a normal job. It's like today when jobs say they're entry level, they're not. I mean, they require 2 to 3 years of experience. 2 to 3 years of experience isn't entry level. Entry level is just getting started. I think equal opportunity is good for this example. Well, sure it is. I mean, if you want to make sure that the rich kids don't all get in there, yeah, lots of exploitation. Yeah, equal opportunity is required to. Is one of those tools that can be used to ensure that people from disadvantaged background get in. It isn't just racial minorities, but economic minorities or even disabled minorities as well. That definitely requires. It's a policy thing. It's the only way around it. You have to have a business or institution that values not giving everything to the privileged. The only way. But I can't imagine too many would do that. Yeah. All right. Tips to enhance your connection to nature. Whether you're in an urban space or surrounded by countryside, there are plenty of cultural environmental systems that can lead to enhanced well-being. Nature's all around us, and if we can embrace what we access, we will find benefits closer to home than we might have expected, Chambers said. For instance, you could take up a new hobby or activity that allows you to spend more time outside, such as bird watching, gardening, paddleboarding, or simply going for a run. If you're in the city, you might take a long walk in a new neighborhood or engage in your surroundings. Switching up your morning commute could also make a difference. You will probably benefit even from just walking to work through a park or quieter area with more trees, Matlin said. Stuck at a desk, Matlin suggested working with the design of the interiors where you spend your day. You might try adding indoor plants, yep. Furniture made of natural materials, yep, I like that, a lot of wood. Letting as much sunlight as possible. I don't like sunlight, it can die in a fire. Well, technically it comes from fire, but glare bad. Hanging pictures and artwork of natural places. Yeah, I like a lot of indoor plants. I like a lot of indoor plants, but why shouldn't I get into bonsai? If we have indoor plants, I don't want to take care of them because I won't remember it. Basically, if I don't have an automated system to take care of them, they're going to die. Like if I were to envision, like my office it was amazing. I wouldn't mind having some plants in here, but also like I would like a library with plants in it. Got the books and you got plants. It's a nice combination, but making sure that the plants, you know, don't end up destroying the books and stuff like that. Did love it or hate it, you need to take care of it, but it looks great, and you just value it more because put actual work. Yeah. I've kind of considered it, you know, a little bit here and there, but I haven't considered enough to even start looking at them. But they're like super expensive, from what little I've heard, like really expensive. If I could do it like once every few weeks, that might be enough for me. I could probably do that without killing it. But if it's more than that, I don't know. Not enough computers involved. I probably have to automate that too. And so when we looking at this, a very small one, 500 euros, yeah, fucking expensive. They're so expensive. I was thinking like 200. Yeah, it's so expensive. I didn't think it was that expensive, but yeah, Jesus. Super expensive. Mommy! Like when we're looking at this sort of thing with nature, and this is kind of when we look at urban design, that's why I talk about building up and building down so that we can maximize the amount of green spaces around. So we build these giant arcologies, which can have a lot of green space in them too, which is something that we should do, much like we're talking about here. A bonsai tree. A small one. Yeah, I was thinking they were like 2 to 300, 1 to 200, something like that. Because I've kind of considered it ish, but I've never really looked into it that deeply. I knew they were expensive, but I wasn't quite thinking it was that expensive. Yikes! Yikes! Super expensive. Yeah. It's like my office. I would like to get plants in here somehow, and once I get my library. Well, but my book nook together, I would like to get some plants in here, though. It has to be plants that I can't kill too easily because you have to be very hands-off plants. I'll have to get some sensors and put in there to say, hey, this one's almost gonna die, you need to water it. Or something like that. We don't have a lot of light in here either. I've got one light coming in, but it's at quite an angle. It's like kind of like this. The roof. So, I don't know. The wife is pretty good at growing plants. Cactus? Oh, yeah, I can kill a cactus. I've done that. But yeah, cactus might be something to get. That might be something to do. I'd really have to research how not to kill it. Preferably, I want to get some plants that, you know, give me more fresh air. Preferably nothing pollinating because that's bad for computers. Fresh air plants, something like that. Once I get everything put together in here, then I'll probably look at that. I'll talk to the wife and see if she can help me out. I know they've done studies on what sort of plants are good for filtering your air. I may have to look into that when I get to that point. Yeah, we'll see. It's a while away. The contractor hopefully soon will have time the next few weeks to finish the work on my office. Then I can get everything back in, get my shelves up, and maybe get some plants here in another few months. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If you want to see my setup, I think there's a link to it or there's an image of it in Discord. I've got a standing desk and new monitors and all sorts of stuff going on. I'm standing right now, actually. When at work, I try to start standing up. Hopefully this will help. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Getting plants is 100% worth it. It's just a matter of finding the ones that that'll work in here, filter the air, not give me pollen, that sort of thing. Treadmill, yes, when I originally was purchasing the desk, they had a treadmill, but it was $1,000. So I am going to get a treadmill up here. That way I can do my walks up here, and I have my music. I'd rather do it outside if I'm going to do it, but it was a low profile standing treadmill desk sort of treadmills. So yeah, it was pretty It's very low profile. But I'll have to get, just get one that's used and bring it up here. That would be nice. That's I'm planning on that too. Once we get all the work done in here, it's gonna go over there. And then, yeah, I'll probably do my walks there. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure in like Craigslist or something like that, there'll be people just giving them away or selling them super cheap, barely used, right? Because a lot of people buy this stuff and never use it. Can't say I'm not guilty of that, or we're not guilty of that either, but it's one of those things, like if it's right here next to me, it's hard to make an excuse to not do it. So I even had the space planned out for it to go right there. Wait, in February? Oh, after after New Year's resolutions. Yeah, good idea. Smart thinking. So Craigslist. Oh yeah, good question. Everyone buys gym equipment, yeah, for New Year's and then gets rid of them. Yep. So it's just it's kind of like the wanted ads in your newspaper. In a newspaper, it's where you can post things for sale and people can buy them. It's online, and I think they have it for worldwide. Craigslist. Yeah, this is it here. I'm pretty sure they have Europe as well. Yeah, Craigslist worldwide, Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe. Where is Germany? There's Germany. Yeah, they have it here for Germany. I'll go and throw it in here for you. In case you get bored, need something. I've only used this like once or twice. Not very often. So yeah, that's my plans. That's my plans. Treadmill and plants once the work in here gets done. I also, on my monitors, right now they're on their stands. I have monitor arms for them, but I don't have the right adapter for the monitors. I have to find that. If I can't find the correct adapter for my monitors, I'm going to be pissed, because that's going to really give me a bunch of space on my desk. But we'll see. There's got to be an adapter, an appropriate adapter for it. I just got to find out where. Tennis partners? Ooh. Yeah, they got personals in there too. How you doing, huh? They had, yeah. Personals. Get to know you personally. All right, so yeah, talking about urban design, building up and building down, building arcologies, building straight up, straight down, and then having all of the, the rest of the interior of the country being just wild. That you can take excursions out into, the forest or the hills or whatever, because most of your land in the area is going to be wilded. So you got these giant ass, several hundred story arcologies with plants in them, and then you can take your excursion out to the green space. Build up and build down. And actually right now, with climate change coming, we need to be concentrating more on building down, I think. Because, storms are getting worse, flooding, and that sort of a thing. We need to basically build down and build like bunkers that can withstand, like 15 feet of water above them, or something like that. Yeah, climate change isn't going to be kind. So we have to start building in such a way that compensates for that, which is, all that is a part of my policies as well. So if we redesigned our urban spaces to be up and down, and then have, instead of spreading out, having an urban sprawl, then you have a lot more green space with which to send people out, or to create, or just move. Yeah, well, yeah, you could do that too. Yep. And that's kind of, also when I think about this sort of a thing, I also think about like how rural places tend to be more conservative, and a lot of that is because of population density and amenities and stuff like that. So it's a way we can help minimize the existence of conservatism, is concentrating people into larger city centers. And a way to do that is build up and build down instead of building out. Obviously, there's going to be some people that are still going to want to live kind of out there, but then you need to make sure they maintain their connection to the rest of the world. That's much what a resource-based economy would do. Make sure everyone is connected. Make sure you're connected. The writing's on the wall. So that they don't lose that connection to the rest of humanity, don't end up becoming conservative because they're farther away. So that's important to do. It's important. Yeah, it's important for ensuring that humanity can stay focused. Yeah, it's the sprawl. It is 100%, and that's got a lot of reasons to bitch about Biden, but and Musk, right? Elon Musk, that they're not. Urban sprawl is a huge thing, and we don't have mass transport anywhere. Well, I can't say anywhere. Bigger cities do have it, but that should be the way cities should be designed from the ground up. Seems like every person wants to live in 3 cities. Yeah, I mean, I used to live in one city, go to work and to college in another city, which is 45 minutes away, and then kind of my friends and family were in another city. And that was like 20 minutes away. That wasn't quite so bad. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's capitalism, right? When you get a large house for $200,000 a price, 3-bedroom, that's pretty good. In my town, in a small EU country, 2 states away. Musk is a revolutionary. Who else could have thought of a 1-lane, no fire exits tunnel? And yes, exactly. Totally. No fire issues there. And that's, we've watched. It is. Well, partially it is because it's cheaper to not plan if everyone wants to live in the same place. Well, the issue with urban planning is that it's cheaper to not create roads, right? And it's right, exactly. And it's better for profits for the fossil fuel industry and for the car industry to make sure everyone has a car. So they're always fighting against urban mass transportation, buses and stuff like that. So they want urban sprawl so that those industries can keep going. And then, so that means we don't have mass transportation. That means cities aren't designed from the ground up to be walkable, to have mass transportation, and that the cities organically evolve. Yeah, well, you could do that too. But ideally, you design the city, the urban plan from the ground up with mass transportation in mind, so you don't have cars at all. It's easier to design to create your urban design that way than it is to try and retrofit it later on, much like some of the Nordic countries are doing. Finland, Norway, Sweden, Netherlands, right there. They're retro zoning their cities to get rid of cars in many areas and to turn them into walkable green spaces. It's easier to do it at the beginning, and it's even harder to do that, especially in a country like the United States, which is owned. It's a capitalist whorehouse where the fossil fuel industry and the auto industry basically controls the government and is going to do everything they can to prevent mass transportation and sustainable practices from being a thing. To watch every stream on the cost of cars. Ooh,
car owners.
So you have to balance out the pissing me off, the sort of a thing. Okay, 20 minutes. All right, I'll take a look at that. Got some good links going on here. Suburbs are a scam. Woo. Okay. Some good stuff here too. Thanks for the share. I'll take a look at this. Dutch cities are better. Okay, yep. Safer sidewalks. I know nobody takes the bus. Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for sharing, guys. Woohoo. Oh, I'm gonna. Okay. Okay. Got a lot of subscribers too. 784,000. I might have 2 subscribers. I haven't put any real videos out yet, but yeah, cool. Thank you. Yep, we need to change our urban design to be up and down and to have green spaces, walkable, and then turn the rest of that, rewild the rest of that space. And then of course we have to change the way how our work and our work-life balance is too. Like 4-day work week is a good start on that. But we even really need to be going down to 3-day work weeks. And then automating a lot of stuff. Universal basic income, universal housing, universal healthcare, universal education. I know you Europeans got all that shit, but we don't have it here in the US at least. But that's something that we need here. Housing first as a policy, nationalize healthcare, nationalize education, nationalize the energy industry, nationalize pharmaceuticals, just nationalize all the things for the most part, or at least turn it public, nationalize the banks, at least public banking. Like all those things will fix so many problems, With a functioning public transport and high-speed railways, for example, you could technically live in a very cheap apartment 100 miles away if you could get to work. Yeah, definitely. When I was in the Navy, one of the guys that was in my division, he drove an hour a day. An hour one way to Norfolk because his family lived an hour away. He did that every single day when we were in port. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? I get it. If it's cheaper and that's where your family's at, I get it. But I mean, yeah, sometimes he made arrangements to stay here on the ship so he wouldn't have to do all the fucking driving. But he did a lot of driving that way. Yeah, the more mass transportation we get, and the more efficient it is, the faster it gets, the more we can live farther away from our work, and even to the point where we can just get rid of the as technology advances, we can get rid of the commute altogether and just do it all virtually, which would be preferable. Some people who do this at the uni train an hour away and taxi home. Oh, okay, sure. That's a lot. Oh my God, that's still a lot of time. An hour train and then 10, 15, 20-minute taxi. Yikes. Also, with the amount you save on not owning a car, you could literally buy a brand new e-bike every year and buy the most expensive public transport ticket, and it's still be cheaper. Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and that's huge. It's always cheaper to do something mass. It's what is it? Economies of scale. It's always cheaper to do something to serve 100,000 million people or whatever than it is to make something to serve one person. Definitely. It's not just cheaper for us as the individual, it's cheaper for society as well, right? On how much it takes to do that, to create the mass transport and sustain it every year and all of that. It's just cheaper every single way possible. And that's technically efficient, which is not what we like here in the United States. We like market efficiency. We like profit efficiency. None of this technical bullshit. We have to be present at uni 2 to 3 days a week. Oh, okay, 6 months a year. Oh, okay, exam season for exams individually, so it's technically worth it for some people if they don't work. Oh, okay. Okay, that's okay then. I mean, every other day going there, that's not so bad. That's not bad at all. Then you telecommute for the rest of it. Cool. Yeah, I'd do that. Sure. Especially if you have mass transport, then you still get to sit there and type and read or do whatever while you're doing stuff, while you're commuting. Yeah. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. If someday, eventually, we're just going to get rid of the commute altogether, and we'll have the infrastructure. Curly Bear! Yay! How you doing? Welcome. Gaming Mind's here too. Rodco's here. How you doing today? Got here about halfway through. That's pretty good. Good. Yeah, we're doing okay too. Last year we had Tuesday, Wednesday, and I know people who just booked a cheap hotel for one night. Ah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Chores. Yep. Cool. We're just talking about mass transit in the United States, how we suck at it, why, and that sort of a thing. We need much more public transportation, much more mass transportation. It's just so hard to win here because our government is owned by the fossil fuel industry and the auto industry. Yeah, definitely. It's such a fucking problem. It's such a worshiping at the profit god than it is actually good for the people, good for the environment. I mean, just mass transit is good for everyone. It's good. It's cheaper and more efficient in every possible way, but it's not good for profits, unfortunately. Have some mental roadblock towards. Yeah, a lot of it is our toxic individualism that comes from our toxic car equals freedom. Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, because we're brainwashed by the fossil fuel industry, the auto industry to worship cars and cars equal freedom, right? And, you know, we also have the examples of the various mass transportations here in this country which look like shit because the government keeps gutting and cutting funding for them. So see, they look like shit. It's the typical conservative, you know, capitalist playbook, right? You take something that is a public service and you gut funding for it, and then it looks like shit, and then you try and privatize it or get rid of it so that you can have cars instead. Yeah, it's very difficult to do in this country because there's very little profit in doing that, fortunately. It'd be nice when the day comes when that is not a thing, but that's not going to be a thing anytime soon. Humanity will be extinct before people will be thinking about this. The next 1 to 200 years. Oh, if you guys don't support Moneyless Society on YouTube, they have a Patreon. Consider doing that. Their interviews are just amazing. They had James Gilligan on, I think last week, who is the guy who termed the phrase systemic and structural violence. Great interview. And they just had one just for Patreon. You like money? You don't like money, you like what it can get you. It's the resources that you like. Money is the thing that stands in the way between getting what you want, between the resources. It's an interference. And the next one that they had, that they posted that was just for Patreon people was from Environmental Dude. It was really, really good. Well, here, let me bring it up. I started Moneyless Society. I started supporting them. Here he is. The police is in the middle of me, and what they want feels bad, man. Exactly. Fucking police are always in the way. Here's their website. I've got a Patreon and stuff like that. And they started talking to me. Well, a bunch of us RBE people are starting to talk on Discord and stuff like that. So talking with them is great. One of the guys who starts is Zach. I've had some conversations with him and some of the other RBE people, so it's really, really nice. They've had some really great podcast guests. Here, it's right here. You can find it on YouTube. And then Patreon is right here. It's also like $1 a month, $5 a month. I think they're going $15 a month for the new one. They've got some for hire. So it's really good. Good people, good interviews. I'll just throw this up. Yeah, so I sent that in there. I'll throw in the YouTube link too. Where the hell's... How is there not a YouTube link here? Right there. Okay. I'm blind. There you go. Yeah, this one right here, Poverty is Violence with James Gilligan. Really good. And this is with, I've met with this guy too here, Travis with Auravana. If you think I write a lot, I do nothing compared to this guy. The Auravana project, I mean, he's got thousands of pages. He's putting together an entire just like specification. His wife is an architect. They're putting together like community systems. He's got thousands of pages of writing. It's pretty interesting. I started reading his overview document is 137 pages. I started reading that. There's just a lot there. He's super impressive. So there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of interviews with people, and they're talking about stuff and trying to get a community together. I feel like my ideas, they've got a lot of the same stuff that I talk about there. Brought to you by the Moneyless Society podcast. Yep, good stuff there. Good stuff. Well, Girly Bear, these are the articles what do you love about capitalism? These are the articles that we've gone over so far. Did war help societies become bigger and more complex? One on private jets, and then we're in the middle of enables people who critique it to make money off it. Well, I wish I was one of those people making money off it, because I'm definitely not making anything off it. Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. Hopefully I'll end up doing more with them and Travis and stuff like that. And some of these grifts seem like, oh yeah, you can make a lot of money if you have the personality and if you're willing to sell your soul to serve the money gods. But I spend too much time dooming and bitching about it. The more popular and rich you get, you might. Right, and that's fair. That's fair, right? Once I get the influence and the money rolling in, then that's something I've always worried about. Like if something was to happen and I was to get, popularity and the money, like would that affect me? Like would that sociopathy that comes from affluence really, destroy me as an individual, at least from, where I am today? And that's, I don't think so, because I've really thought about what I would do with different amounts of money. Like, give me $1 billion. I already know $1 trillion. I know how I'm going to spend that already. And a lot of it's about serving the people and doing good things for the environment and that sort of thing. That's kind of where it goes. But yeah. Moneyless Society, good. Hopefully I'll be in a lot more talks with them and a lot of other RBE people as well. There's some really good stuff in there. Really good stuff. Okay. At some point I think I'm going to have Zachary on here from the Moneyless Society. I think I'll have Travis on from the Auravana project as well. I haven't had guests on here, but it's something I should probably start doing. And then also the author, Erasmo? What's his name? He wrote the K3 novel, which I read months ago, which is about humanity if it became a K3 civilization. I talked about the Kardashev scale. I'll go ahead and throw that in here for you. Would you guys like to see guests on here? I think people overestimate how strong their sense of self is and how easy it is to be influenced and shaped by your environment. Yes. Yeah, that is exactly my fear. That is 100% exactly my fear. Because the level of brain damage you get from being affluent is pretty. It's powerful. You like this? Okay. Yeah, I've got a bunch of people I would like to have on. Peter Joseph said he would come on too. He's the guy who wrote the New Human Rights Movement. One of the 5 books I said you need to read. The very opposite could be said about growing up poor. Oh yeah, definitely. In my post, The Cancer of Capitalism, I show that, as it's like a rubber band, right? As inequality grows at the extremes, that sociopathy is there. People who are impoverished get brain damage. People who are affluent also get brain damage, but it manifests in very different ways. Yep, it's inequality is the core driver of that, right here. The New Human Rights Movement. Say this is the book everyone needs to read. If you don't read any of these 5, read this one. He gave me permission to read his book on stream last year, and he said, he would come on my stream as well, even though I have no one here. I've got you guys here. I've got 3 amazing people. Yeah, a lot of times I'll have 3 or 0. That's kind of where I go through. 3 or 0 people on here. So it's hard to get people to come on a stream where there's 3 or fewer people on. I'd like to have Andrew Yang come on too. I mean, we have a lot of policies in that are similar, but also there's a lot of policies that are different. A lot of things I don't support, like term limits in general, I don't support. Whereas he's very much for that. You need to shield for yourself more in other streams? Oh my god. Yeah, I could. It's hard for me because then I have to go and actually talk to people. I mean, I know you guys you and Girly Bear and a few other people have gotten on me on that too. Going on other streams, talking with people. Right now, the issue is I don't have a lot of time. This is about the only time I have to stream, but yeah, I do want to I need to get on more streams too. But getting there is difficult because no one knows me. No. I'll get some guests on here sometime, and then we'll see what happens. I did that panel once. Yeah, that was pretty good. I see this brain damage was in my labor law class. There were some people with some opinions on both sides and with something to see. Oh, I'm sure. And it's the damage that inequality does is pretty significant. And it just getting people to understand the systemic and structural violence, the brain damage that happens, whether you're on either side of the debate, it's getting them to acknowledge that the inequality is what drives the harms in society. And getting them to even get near that is difficult because once you get them asking those sorts of questions, you have them questioning the very foundations of their worldview, and many won't even consider that. Yeah, doing panels, I need to do more panels. I need a lot of stuff I need to do. I need what do I need? I need a PR person who can do it for me, who can make those arrangements for me. I'm such an introvert, and I'm so much into procrastinating that it's hard for me to get the motivation to go out and do that. I have lots of plans, but putting the brain power forward to actually do something new is difficult. So very difficult. Yeah, on occasion we'll have people come on here and chat, and they'll put their capitalist apologia on here, and it doesn't go well. It's hard to convince me you're right when you're wrong. When you try to say capitalism is good, it's not good. There's very few good things to capitalism that couldn't have been done better under a resource-based economy. What were some of those brain-damaging opinions on both sides that you saw? Even if you disagree that you should be able to say what it would take to change your mind to give them. Yeah, I can definitely say that, but I mean, if you in some way could make capitalism outperform a resource-based economy, I mean, let's have that conversation. But try it. But the fundamental harm in capitalism is it's so pervasive and systemic and structural. Humanity is we're going to be going, most of life on this planet is going extinct in the next few hundred years. I mean, capitalism did that. How do you undo that? How do you make that okay? It would be difficult. It's a very hard sell to this guy. But it'd be interesting to see them try. I've had someone on Twitter I was going back and forth with a little bit on this, and it's just, capitalist apologist and, not willing to admit that capitalism is harmful, and competition, exploitation, and all these sorts of things. It's hard to get people to admit that capitalism is harmful, monetary systems is harmful, because that's what, that's all we know. That's all most people have known until they don't. And whoa, TLDR. What should happen to an employee if he's sick, not coming to work a very long time? First group, he should be protected from getting fired, getting paid. Okay, yeah. Second group, he should get fired without any pay. Yep. Third group, me included, and everyone else in the middle. There should be some middle ground between the two. Okay. How about a fourth? I guess jobs shouldn't exist and people shouldn't have to work to survive, sort of thing. I mean, it's basically saying the system is the problem. The fact that we have to ask this question, that is the fundamental problem. That we're having this conversation about this situation that is possible. Oh yeah. Yep, exactly. So it's the fact that we have to ask this question that is the problem. That's what people, they can't get their brain into that and to think systemically, think that the system is the problem. That's what we need to do. We need to get people to make that switch to just asking the question. Just the fact that this situation exists is the problem. And then, well, why is the situation even there? Keep having them dig layer by layer until they get to the point where it's, competition, inequality, monetary systems. I've talked about this before. I haven't talked about it in a while, about considering taking every single issue and then just working it back and just kind of an infographic, like everything all comes down to inequality, capitalism, inequality, monetary systems, and then it causes all of these things at some point. I don't know. Someday. I just need, if I didn't have to work for a living, I'd get a lot more done. I like my job though. My job is amazing. Okay. All right. All right, it's 4 o'clock. Got an hour left. Pretty good. About one article an hour. That's pretty good. Let's see what we got here. The University of Tokyo's research enhances scientific knowledge and awareness of the relationship between the environment and well-being, which may have larger implications for public health. According to Gasperitos, the researchers believe their findings can have practical applications to inform policymakers and practitioners in ecosystem management discourse. See, this here I don't like. You're having the period inside the quote. But okay, that in and of itself isn't the problem. It's the fact that there is another period outside the quote. That's what I have a problem with. It bothers me. In fact, following their research, Gasperitos said the team received a grant to investigate the relationship between cultural environmental systems and human well-being in Tokyo's urban spaces. Remember, there are many ways you can access nature and still receive the benefits, even if you live in a city. Going for a neighborhood walk, adding more plants to your home or office, and getting more sunlight can all help stimulate a sense of connection to nature. Yep, and when we talk about why a lot of our problems, why people are broken, it's that lack of connection to the natural world. And yeah, our society needs to be organized that way so that people get outside and get connected to the nature. It makes people better people, more compassionate, not only with each other, but also with the natural world. And our children need to grow up in a place. You just don't have grass in your car? Exactly, grass. Yeah, that would be problematic. Depending on where you live. Which correct period? Well, it's technically correct. The technically correct one is with period inside the quote, which fucking drives me nuts. On my blog, I don't do it because I won't do it. It just, I don't like it. It, like in that case, the period inside the quote would be correct for the quote itself, I think. But it's like, put that the other period outside the quote to show that the sentence has ended. Make it obvious. Samaki get a jail time even for a gram. Ah, I love commie laws. Yeah. There's a few things that I would create a movement for, and one of them is going to be this, put that period outside it. Also for like percent signs and other, symbolic modifiers to numbers or text, put that symbolic modifier before. So percent, like 35%, like you do dollar, like you do numbers, right? Number amounts, you do $, and then the number, so that you understand so you can properly contextualize the numbers that are coming next. Coefficient? Could be. I don't know if that's what that's called. I have no idea. But yeah, the dollar sign, the percent sign should all go before. Yeah, no, yeah. So the dollar sign and like the number sign, the symbolic symbol that goes before that describes what the number is, or pretty much the only thing I can think of are number based identifiers. What if there's a period in the quote you're quoting? Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, symbols should go first. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It drives you nuts. So yeah, where's that? It's down here. Let's go down here. It might look strange. It does look strange to me a little bit, but it makes way down here. Did I not finish this? Okay, let's search for this. Yeah, so right here. Yeah, you have your period here, then the quote, and then another period here. It'll look strange, but you can also change the quote so that the period isn't there, even though the way it's spoken, it might go here to here. You could put the quote there, or put the period there, but you can also put one on the outside too. Yeah, I don't know. It just. I'm like, well, where's the rest of the sentence? This should be. I don't understand. Put the period there. Okay. I mean, I just think the quotes are unnecessary in that sense. Yeah, it could be redone, rewritten so that you don't need the quotes at all. Definitely. But just the way they're writing here, they want to make sure they have quotes. Yeah. Yeah, like here, it's the full sentence. Something beeped at me. Like here we have the full sentence, right? Okay, that's a whole, yeah. Then, well, like here you could keep the, you wouldn't need to put one here because this is just the whole quote is the sentence. Wasn't there one previously? I don't know. But quotes are useful in certain contexts. They're useful to, quote people. But they definitely could be redone so that they're less needed. All right, let's do this one. Let's see. I know Girly Bear and I are a bit older. Gang Mine's younger. I think Rudko, you're older too, aren't you? Yeah, I think Gaming Mine's the only whippersnapper here. Whippersnapper? Got a while to go before he hits his 40s. You're 21, okay. I'm totally wrong. So, 2 whippersnappers, and then Girly Bear and I. Okay, so you guys got a while to go before you hit this. The 40s, it changes everything. It's like, for me, as soon as I hit 40, everything changed. You're 58, okay, there you go. I'll be 48 in November. Zoomer hype! Yeah, it was, yeah, after I hit 40, my eyes got worse, I started gaining weight, and my body started falling apart even quicker. So it's rough. So much like we were talking about earlier with Gaming Mind, keep taking care of yourself if you can. Get out in nature like the previous article said. Get that exercise. Stay in nature. My God, you guys are so young. Back when I was young, I was still in the military. I think I got out at 22, right? No, 24. 24 is when I got out. So 22, I was still probably in the middle of the ocean somewhere. No, is that right? 18? No, towards the end of 22, we just got out of dry dock and we were starting ship trials. Be rich? Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the best. Just don't be poor. That's the best advice I can give you. If only it was that easy. Only it was that easy. Okay. Let's see, this is The Guardian. When was this? August 22, August 22nd. So that's not a few weeks ago, a week or two ago. All right. All indicators to the contrary. The 3 children, the mortgage, the gray hairs, that little immutable fact that I was born in 1984. Okay, I was born a little bit before that. The idea that I am approaching 40 is as discordant to my identity as is my bra drawer, which since the pandemic and the birth of my 1-year-old consists mostly of slings. Now I think whenever I'm forced to confront my reality as an almost middle-ager, I am still 22 and my silky lacy undergarments would be more at home on a Victoria's Secret billboard than in Ma's closet on the prairie. My wife just turned 40. Just less than a month ago, actually. So she's kind of feeling that too. And for this last decade, I've been saying, it's coming. When 40 hits you, you're gonna understand. You'll see, and she's seeing it. Everything's changing. Yet here I am along with vast swaths of other millennials who are starting to approach our most unhappy period of life. Oh, haven't you heard? Happiness is U-shaped. It declines and bottoms out in your 40s, so report countless studies, until it starts to inch its way up again in the 50s. This is a remarkably consistent finding across countries and cultures. So a lot of this has to do with like adulthood. Actual adulthood starts late 20s when your body stops growing. Then the 30s is your adulthood, and then you start falling apart in your 40s. So you have a little over a decade of adulthood, and then you start falling apart. So 40s, when your body starts falling apart, it's hard to be happy then. Well, again, we got the riches. Yeah. Relax, I'm kind of young. Yeah. It's good to be rich. Wanna be rich. Oh. Now, if we can cure this aging issue so that we don't start falling apart at 40s, this whole thing will change. Well, actually, if we cure the capitalism problem and we cure the aging problem, then all this will change. I mean, it's even if you cure the aging problem, you still have the capitalist problem with capitalism. That's still going to make everything suck. Though I consider myself decently happy, my kids are adorable and often astonishing. I have a strong marriage and enjoy my career. Plus, I no longer have to face lunchtime anxiety in the school cafeteria. I am, it seems, statistically fated to languish in the nadir, next to other sad, anxious, sleepless swamp creatures also living in the squeeze with aging parents and young children, and a veritable potpourri of stressful situations to sprinkle throughout my days. This has been the case for anyone in midlife for some time, with some studies pinpointing our most unhappy year to be precisely 47.2. Well, that's pretty precise. Exercise, eat healthy, no alcohol, minimize stress. You can still be vital in your 80s, assuming you have, that's exactly right. And it's hard to do under capitalism, and it's hard to do with their bodies falling apart. You really, really have to take care of yourself to be able to do that, yeah. Or have very good genes. Very good genes. But I recently learned we millennials may find ourselves uniquely screwed as we approach that low point in the curve. My place on this smile curve took on a new urgency when I came across the data from this year's American Time Use Survey. Especially work mentally and not physically. Oh, yep. Well, like, even if you do mental work, like I do, I'm sitting around all the time, so my body is not liking that. So I have to find, I try to do my walks, which I haven't been doing quite so much, but you got to find ways to stay active, even with if you're doing brain work. It's easier to stay in better shape if you're doing physical work, but the physical work also does take a toll on your body too, especially if it's repetitive work. You look at someone who worked physically in the 60s and someone who worked in the office, yeah, the mental difference is large, yeah. It can be. It depends on what the physical work is. The physical work can be like construction. If you're a contractor building things, you still have to use a lot of your brain and how to put stuff together, and of course your body to put stuff together. Yeah, it all depends. But yeah, yep. A study by the U.S. Census Bureau and the Bureau of Labor Statistics measures how people spend their days, working, exercising, housekeeping, eating, and the like. The latest report, using data from 2021, reports all sorts of depressing statistics. To pluck just one of many, Americans across all ages spend vastly more time watching television than doing literally any other leisure activity, including socializing, playing sports, reading, or relaxing and thinking. That Shangri-La of all time use buckets, and one last successfully engaged by Cicero. Yeah, it's easy just to sit there in front of the computer or your smart TV and just get through, binge watch show after show after show, because there's no end to the number of shows out there. I've got so much stuff I want to watch. There's just no time. I have five years of blog posts. I sitting in drafts in various states. In my phone, I've got over 2 years worth of reading sitting there. I don't have time for. I just had an experience with doctors in their 60s and 70s, still sharp, yep, and some random people who work manually being literal. Yeah, it just all depends. It all depends on what the physical stuff is. If it's just physical with no, if you're just doing manual factory labor, that's harder to keep your brain engaged and keep growing that way. But yeah, doctors, they're more into the, how to take care of yourself better, but it's also very intellectually demanding as well. Definitely. But the worrying one for me pertained to those of us between 35 and 44 years old, the so-called elder millennials. A phrase I cannot read without flashing back to the moment when my obstetrician labeled my pregnancy geriatric. Oh, damn. Instantaneously evoking the image of my husband holding my walker as I nursed. Apparently, we spend the least amount of leisure time of any other age cohort, and the least ever reported for our cohort since the survey was first released in 2003. When I read an article by a Bloomberg columnist who crunched the Addis numbers to pull that stat to the forefront, I thought, if no one else in my life ever really sees me, at least the Bureau of Labor Statistics does. And a lot of this will come down to, at least here in the United States, the level of inequality is going up. Different people are struggling more. No universal health care, no universal education, no mass transportation, no UBI, no housing as a human right, and so on and so forth. Ask any geriatric elder like myself, and it's no real shocker why this is the case. Instead of leisuring, since 2003, we're working more and caring for small children more. Yep. Sure, according to the study, we're also investing more time in personal care activities, a bucket which largely includes sleeping, but also grooming, though I'll be the first to admit that I no longer have to expend any time filing my nails because they're basically nubbins. Thank you, anxiety. Yeah. But probably some of this increase is due to self-help that we have been forced to administer post-pandemic, and regardless, can the Census Bureau accurately capture the nuances of what sleeping looks like with 3 children under the age of 6.5? Yeah, that would be just a nightmare. I read this 200 IQ inequality, which you are going to love. Rich people are hurt more by inflation. Oh my God. Rich people are hurt more by inflation than poor people because they lose more money. Oh my God. Just the sheer lack of awareness of what to say that. I mean, sure, technically they're correct in purely the numbers game, but ultimately, yeah, it's not incorrect by the metric they're using, But people who are already struggling, prices go up, they might have to choose between food or rent or electricity and that sort of a thing. It's just it's that sociopathy to write something like that and not write the other way. How many people are going to not have their insulin or not have housing or whatever else? Especially now with the crisis profiteering that's going on, that's causing this inflation. It's going to, I haven't read any articles on this yet, but it's going to devastate people who are already struggling before the pandemic. A lot of them have already lost a bunch of their jobs. And now that, in addition to the inflation, the crisis profiteering, raising prices, I mean, I'm very fortunate to have a good job and to have never been, struggling like that. I just couldn't imagine it. Oh no, I'm just a fellow multimillionaire who lost $100,000. What am I gonna do now? Exactly, that's exactly it. Woe was me. Cue the violins, please. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. Around here, the state profiteers the most since we have that. Yeah, and I haven't done my research on this enough, but I'm not very much, anything that's flat, I'm pretty much against. VAT is effectively a flat tax. We need progressive taxation all around in a bunch of different ways. The more expensive your thing is, the more of a tax you should pay on it. Especially if you get into luxury taxes. 0% capital gain. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. No, my God. You're gonna love my policies. Yeah. Oh my God. Check out my policies. You're gonna love these. They're amazing. Amazing. Yeah, maximum wage, a high minimum wage, and then we have a marginal tax rate of 100% at the maximum wage, which is $675,000. Then we've got transaction taxes, and we've also have death taxes with 100% marginal tax rate on that as well. Basically, you take, for the way I do it is you consider like inheritance as income. You read this? Okay, good. It hasn't changed that much since then. And this last years I've been really busy. There hasn't been much in that one that has changed much. Yeah, so that like inheritance would be considered income, and then you do your taxation from that way. That would keep everyone right in the middle, between $75,000 to $250,000 income. Yeah, 0% capital gains. That'd be ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh yeah, I've got a wealth tax in there too, like 8% wealth tax. I don't know if that should be higher. I have to research that a bit more. Yeah, wealth tax on top of that. All right. Had I partaken in the survey last year, I would have wanted to clarify that with a newborn in my house, my husband's Apple Watch sleep tracker looked like a seismograph at the base of Vesuvius in AD 79. Had I taken it last weekend, I would have piped up that the hours of 3:30 to 5 a.m. were spent driving my 3-year-old languidly up and down back streets with the soothing sounds of Rafi lullabies playing. And I nearly dodged small woodland creatures and willfully pretended she was drifting off. She wasn't, and we were the first in line at the bagel store. Suffice it to say, I'm not sure I need a national survey to illuminate my diminishing leisure time and the depressing ways I choose to spend it. What interested me was how these two sets of data interacted. Here we are, not only marching grimly toward our most unhappy phase of life, but paring away at the pockets of time that might give us some reprieve and paring away at them at a rate not seen in 2 decades. Would I really have to wait until my mid-50s to relax and think? Well, the only thing I which I agree with in your policies to eliminate tips. Oh, okay. Yep. That's one. Yep. Get rid of tip. Yep. Get rid of tips and do pure wage for that. Yep. God, you don't agree with any of the rest of it? Yikes, man. There's so much good stuff in there. There's got to be something else beyond that you agree with. Woo! Woo! So, oh, you're rich? Okay, alrighty then. So that would explain it. Like, a part of this here in the US, at least, is that, we don't have the social support for parents. No daycare, no universal health care, no fitness, no, none of that stuff that's needed for people to take care of themselves. It's anything that's required for you to take care of yourself, there's a huge price tag to. Yeah, no, I get it completely. So that's, here in the United States, it's hard to be really happy, especially like as more people are getting college degrees, which means they're going to have children later, in the 30s and 40s, and then they're going to have kids, in their 40s, and then they'll be old enough to take care of themselves or, go off and do their things. Like I had our daughter when I was 32 or something like that. So I'm in my 40s. Yeah, and it's been challenging. It is challenging, definitely challenging. Millennials got hit hard in so many different ways. Carlo Graham, an expert in the field of economics and happiness, told me, the financial crisis, little kids at home during COVID, they've had a rough decade or two, and it's coming at a critical point. Yeah, and that has been stressful on us as well. We've been more fortunate than most because I can work at home because I got a tech job. My wife is, back and forth doing yoga. A lot of her work is at night, so we've always had someone home. We've just been very fortunate with how we've been able to deal with the COVID. In a position of definite privilege, Graham is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution and a professor at the University of Maryland. She's the author of several books, including Happiness Around the World, The Paradox of Happy Peasants and Miserable Millionaires. Did you see the NASA failed? I only saw a brief article that it wasn't failed, but they had to cancel it because I don't know why. Actually, they had to cancel it. Is all I knew. I assume it was weather, but I don't know why. Do you know why they whatever it did? Oh, leakage. Fuel, I'm assuming. Yeah, ooh, that's not good. Well, it's a good thing they caught it before something super bad happened. Take with no trolling is something like this. Even things like people being able to amass wealth, which cause significant issues for now in the U.S. For other places, it would not be an issue if there was a proper policy regarding housing, public transport. If people were able to make a decent living with cheap housing transport, everything would get much better. You wouldn't, Steve. Okay, so you do have points there, most definitely. If there was universal housing, universal transportation, you're right. That would make things significantly better. Significantly better. You're very correct on that. The issue primarily is that the two books that I have here, the spirit level and the inner level, and there's a lot of other studies that talk about this, that inequality in and of itself causes these issues. Like here in the United States, even rich people die like 5 to 7 years sooner than people in Europe, where there's higher levels of equality. It's not. Yes, things are better, but in the end, even people who are rich, and there's rich people are mass buying houses, making. Yes, that's exactly right. Yep, BlackRock, Vanguard, Zillow, right? They're buying a lot of those, and that's a huge fucking problem. So yeah, even with the housing and the cheaper transport, things would still be problematic because just the existence of inequality causes problems. It'd be less problematic, of course, but yeah, inheritance wealth tax would just roadblock you. Will just road into a block of rich people can't leave, and what they could spend in your country and pay taxes via bad. Yeah, but I think what studies have shown specifically is that never happens, or it doesn't really happen. People, yeah, there's always argument. Well, okay, if you do that, then just companies will leave. Well, they don't leave. They don't. Some of them might try and do inversions, but rich people probably won't leave either. Yeah, yeah. The housing issue, I don't have 100% how to deal with this. I mean, there's some people who talk about that you make it illegal for corporations to own housing. That might be one way to do it. Or you radically increase taxes on any organization that has more than one house. Um, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, give me your take. Definitely. Um, that might be one way around it. Or if you have a house, if you have a place to live, not necessarily just a house, right, an apartment or whatever, and it's not rented out, then you get taxes on that because someone, housing's there for people to live in. If people aren't living there, then you get extra taxes on it. It's a emptiness tax or something like that. I've seen some ways of dealing with it, but ultimately, I think making sure all housing is publicly owned by society at large instead of by corporations is pretty much the only way to do it. But when I think about going that way, the issue becomes, at least here in the United States, is that a lot of property taxes fund schools, fund the county government, fund a lot of things. So I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work, if at all. Maybe you have to increase taxes on on businesses, on commercial property instead. I'm not sure. I need to get talk to Amy C3, and see what she thinks about that, because I know housing is that's her bag. So I need to find a way to have a very thorough housing policy, so I can know how to fix that aspect. It's difficult because of the property taxes. Okay, so the paradox of happy peasants and miserable millionaires. Okay. So yeah, as people get richer, they become more sociopathic and they worry about losing their riches and getting in trouble and stuff like, oh my God. I think the state should incentivize private companies to construct housing projects on states or private property tax-free land without extensive bureaucracy, and in return the state would get a portion of the units built, which would then be assigned to people who are currently studying, working. Also improve laws so that every new apartment built doesn't need X parking lots, grass around it, X% parking lot spots for disabled people and stuff like that, which makes the entire space less useful and drives prices up. Well, the issue with that last part is then you're making sure that disabled people can't live there, which is highly problematic. Okay, state should incentivize private companies to construct housing projects on tax-free without and they get a portion of the units. Okay. Okay, so the parking lot thing, the only way around that is if you have mass transportation. Um, that's the only way. There are a lot of unnecessary requirements to make. Well, a lot of those unnecessary requirements are to help deal with people with disabilities and other things like that. It's like I'm in accessibility, that's my job. And so people with disabilities are seen as a special interest when you don't design your buildings to take into account the breadth of experience of ability of all humans. You are specifically saying that people with disabilities can't live here because you don't have accessible parking, accessible entry, and all that sort of stuff. So instead of 6 apartments, you have space for 40 on the same space. So yep, they also drive price up by large amount. Yeah, of course, yep. Yeah, it does, but people need it, at least in the United States, right? Where everyone has a car, you have to have parking. That's just the way it is. And unless your country, unless that, um, apartment complex has mass transportation going to and from it, you have to have parking lots. There's no way. I mean, you just can't get around it. You can't just ignore cars because they drive the prices up. People have cars for transportation. You don't need literally every single building to be disabled friendly. Yes, you do. There could be housing projects specifically for. So the issue with that is you're segregating them. Separate is not equal, right? So it's better for the health and wellness and well-being of people who are disabled, people who are impoverished, to have intergenerational, intereconomic or intermingled economic levels together in one area. Putting the Crip camp over there, no, there is a perfect solution. It's make everything accessible. That's part of my policies. There should be no house that's ever built, no place to live that's ever built that any person could not live in. Someone who's old or someone who is disabled. Because that just greatly limits the places where, these people who have impairments can live. Why do that? I mean, just from the standpoint of, building a property, by not making it disabled friendly, you are radically decreasing the level, the amount of people that could live in your place. You're dropping your market by 20, 15, 10, 15, 20%. Why would you reduce that, your potential renter pool? In reality, you just limit the housing space for people who could otherwise have it for small. But it's not a small minority. It's 10 to 20% of people. I mean, you would be thinking this differently if you were one of those people who had impairments, who had those special needs. Why should you explicitly be excluded from living here so someone else can make some more profit? That's another reason why housing shouldn't be for profit, because of this sort of mentality. It's like, no, have impairments. Even roughly at any given time, 10 to 20% of the population has some sort of an impairment. Crutches are a part of it, right? Or wheelchairs, or a broken leg, blind, right? There's a whole bunch of impairments that, if you don't build your space to be disability friendly, that are going to have issues with it. And especially as people grow older, the majority of people with disabilities are older, or they're elderly, or they're impoverished. That's specifically to have a place that doesn't have spaces for people who are disabled is also against poverty as well. Because those are the two demographics that have most of the disabilities. Those who are impoverished and those who are elderly. So you're saying those people can't live here, is what you're saying. Which that in itself is problematic, right? But also it's better to make sure that, just for culture and society, to have your housing be as intergenerational, intermixed as possible, because that reduces tribalism, it reduces, increases compassion and all sorts of things like that. The biopsychosocial benefits of having intergenerational, intermixed housing is higher than what number you can put on it. I mean, that's the issue when you have, say, over anything. What is the greater good? Right. And then again, we're pointing out here the problem with money. Money is what creates this. Money and profit is what is creating this whole conversation, right? Just like my tension. I know you guys are fucking sick and tired of me sharing this post. My tension within methods of exchange, right? This whole conversation is, do I do what's best for my profits, or do I do what's best for humanity? The best thing to do is make sure all housing, everyone is able to live into it. So maybe it costs more to do it, but it opens up, another 10 to 20% of people who could possibly live here, but then I have to pay for it. Do I charge more? I mean, it's the profit versus doing what's right for humanity issue. It's the tension within methods of exchange. This is why, this is especially in the United States, where profit is what always wins out. It's always about market efficiency, profit efficiency over actual technical efficiency. What is technically more efficient when you're building housing is to make sure everyone and their brother can live there. Otherwise, you're making sure that 10 to 20% of people or the population at any given time can't live there, which is not good for humanity at large. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna do a video of that post. It's only a 9-minute read, but it's really, it gets to the core of the problem. Got to find a way to fix that. Vanguard, BlackRock, Zillow buying them all up, raising the prices, and articles out there saying renters economy is going to be great for everyone. Yikes. Privatizing things is pretty much always the wrong answer, and housing is going to be no different. Although, what do you think about the first part of what okay, so yeah. Incentivize private companies. Okay. So the issue here with that, of course, is that it's privately owned. That is always going to create a problem. Okay, tax-free. Okay. Without extensive bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is needed to make sure that, laws are... State we get a portion of the units built. Yeah, so there's stuff like that going on. But privatizing it is problematic, but then also the units that they build that will be given over to the government are going to be shit. I mean, that's pretty much what you see now because of the profit motive, right? That any low income units they're garbage. They're just, I mean, they're just bad. And this is the issue with. Would be the same? Okay, well, sure. That would be less problematic. But ultimately you're still having profit as being the primary motive for it. And when you have profit as a part of housing, that means it's pretty much always going to end up being corners cut. But also stuff like someone files for us also. Right, yeah, sure. But privatizing stuff always ends up being cutting corners, and there's mold in there. They didn't install something right because profit has been the primary drive for it. And then you can pretty much guarantee that the ones that are given to the government may have been made the same, but they won't be made the same, right? Because of the profit. Because profit is always going to make sure that things are going to get worse over time. They're going to keep increasing the prices just like they're doing now, so that there's so much inflation that no one can rent it. Yeah, it's just privatizing anything that people need in order to live is always a bad thing. So, yeah, public ownership of housing seems like a good start. You got what do they have? Bernie Sanders started community? The fuck is it called? Community. What the? Is that here? I'm not sure where that policy is. What the fuck is it called? I have it here? No. Oh, what's it called? There's like communities create something to own property collectively to keep prices down. What the fuck is it called? I don't remember. Now yeah, I can't remember what it's called. But have it so that local communities own the housing, and they work towards keeping the property the rent and stuff down. And the issue there is money is a part of it, so how do you keep the money coming in and yet to upkeep the houses as well as to pay for, whatever has to be paid for to keep that property there. Now, with strong federal government support, that can be done easily, super easily. The government can dump, trillions of dollars into housing, public housing. Even that's been done before. Oh my God, we've had public housing. Do I have a link on that? What was that place? We had that great article on public housing. Regulation, economic, oh my God. Let's go here. It's not here. What the? Well, there's this place in Europe that has this great public housing thing. Publicly owned housing that is done well and done for people so that they live in, and it's a great experience. Taking into account the psychology and the environment, stuff like that, it is a good thing. Keep rents down, and you can keep people happy. Oh, that's fine. It's still there. Still wearing my stuff. I got new ones because my other one's starting to stink a bit much, but it's good. It's all good, Grizzly Bear. Glad to know you're here. Building a closet. Oh, we got a new bed for my daughter, a new bed frame for her, but the main board for it, kind of the backboard thing, is split on both sides. So I got to figure out how to get a hold of them to have them return it. Annoying. Very annoying. They're okay. I haven't been taking care of my hands as well as I should have, as well as I should be, but they're doing okay. Doing okay. Thank you for asking. It's a lot of K's you got on your name there. Greek. There was a great article on public housing. So public housing is the way to go. And that's kind of what I talk about in my environmental policies. Nope. You're creating amazing public housing that is green spaces, right? Amenities. Basically consider like a hotel, like a 4-star hotel. That sort of level of amenities with a public housing. So you got tennis courts, office spaces, free Wi-Fi, right? All that sort of stuff. If you want people to live well, and then you get mass transportation on top of that too, that's the sort of level that we should be really pointing towards for public housing. That way, profit isn't in there. Profit is always the problem. I actually had time to stretch today, so I actually stretched my hands out, which was good. So I'm playing a lot more of the Warhammer 40k Chaos Gates, Demon Hunters or something like that. So that's been good too. Okay. Yeah, public housing. That's what we need to be doing. Sustainable energy. And you could so if you had public banks could fund sustainable energy and sustainable public housing as one huge package, and a vertical farm as one huge package, right? Because that's what we need. We need public vertical farms, sustainable energy, and then great public housing. If we had publicly owned banks and then the government could just build those sorts of things. They could fund that sort of a thing within the specifications required, and then that would go very, very well. Okay. In a paper entitled The Midlife Dip in Well-Being, a Critique, she, along with the Dartmouth economics professor Danny Blanchflower, resoundingly disputes skeptics of the U-shaped curve, pointing to more than 420 studies, mostly published in peer-reviewed journals, that support the phenomenon. The U-shaped pattern in midlife even extends beyond humans to apes. Oh, the researcher's right. Conjuring King Kong on a Chase lounge. In addition to big economic forces specific to millennials, such as the Great Recession, Graham mentioned the cultural ramifications of living in a country that not only doesn't offer basic support, but also devalues leisure time and vacations in general. Yeah, exactly. That's the issues with capitalism. Specifically, the high levels of inequality here in the United States. Yep, definitely. I guess is that the next generations may have it a little easier, she surmises, citing a more forgiving labor market and the Great Resignation, which has empowered employees to say no or demand more, at least those who are privileged enough to be able to do so in the first place. Right, and there's going to be a lot who aren't going to be able to do that because so many jobs are being lost, right? The AI and automation apocalypse. There are data-backed ways to amplify one's happiness, including being more altruistic, and that nebulous concept of being active in your own destiny, both of which Graham believes got a boost from the COVID years. With charitable giving rising and recalibrated life priorities, and there's at least one millennial-specific silver lining. When does climate change come in here as that silver lining? I'm curious about that. Going through more difficult times in the long run has a payoff because if you get through them, you're more resilient, which you shouldn't ever have to have done in the first place, Graham said. You're just able to weather the shocks better, even if it isn't a perfect landing. So fellow elder millennials, heads down. I'll keep an eye out for your walker if you keep an eye out for mine. Yeah, the resilience thing, in order to be resilient, means the system has to fail. System is failing, therefore you have to be resilient. And that's what this article should have been talked about. That why are millennials struggling? Why do we not, don't have why do our millennial parents not have the social support they need? Universal housing, food, universal daycare, universal education, right? Mass transportation, right? They should be talking about all the things that will make life better for all these people who are struggling. Son of a bitch. Okay, we got 15 minutes left. Woo! We got a neat... Now, everything else I have after this is all tech stuff. I wanted to find some more stuff on non-tech, but this is what's been aggregating up here. Any questions, comments, or suggestions before we keep going? The next one here is from August 15th. Researchers change blood type of a kidney in transplant breakthrough. I've been standing the whole time at my standing desk. It's a huge difference. I also got the black kind of spongy foam pad. Stand on, it makes a huge difference. Normally my feet hate standing, but with this, I haven't had a problem. I start my workday standing at the desk. This is kind of nice. All right. Researchers change blood type of kidney in transplant breakthrough. I've had this one here for a while. University of Cambridge team's work could significantly increase supply of organs for people with rarer blood types. Oh, do I? Motherfuckers. Let's see. Okay, got through. Okay. Yes, standing desk. Woo! So happy to have it. So happy. Researchers have successfully altered the blood type of 3 donor kidneys in game-changing discovery that could significantly improve the chances of patients waiting for a transplant finding a match. The development could increase the supply of kidneys available for transplant, particularly within minority ethnic groups who are less likely to find a match. Scientists say a kidney from someone with blood type A cannot be transplanted into someone with a blood type B, nor the other way around. But changing the blood type to universal O would allow more transplants to take place, and this can be used for people with any blood type. I think I'm O positive for my blood type. University of Cambridge researchers used a normothermic perfusion machine, no clue what that is, a device that connects with the human kidney to pass oxygenated blood through the organ to better preserve it for future use. Okay. To flush blood infused with an enzyme through the deceased donor's kidney. The enzyme removed the blood type markers that line the blood vessels of the kidney, which lead to the organ being converted to the most common O type. Serena McMillan, a PhD student at the University of Cambridge, said, "Our confidence was really boosted after we applied the enzyme to a piece of human kidney tissue and saw very quickly that the antigens were removed. After this, we knew the process is feasible, and we just had to scale up the project to apply the enzyme to full-size human kidneys. By taking B-type human kidneys and pumping the enzyme through the organ using our normothermic perfusion machine, we saw in a matter of just a few hours that we had converted a B-type kidney into an O-type. It's very exciting to think about how this could potentially impact so many lives. People from minority ethnic groups often wait a year longer for a transplant than white patients, and so the study could have particular implications for them, experts say. People from minority communities are more likely to have type B blood, okay, and with low donation rates from these populations, there are not enough kidneys to go around. Okay. In 2020 and 2021, just over 9% of total organ donations in the UK came from black and minority ethnic donors, while black and minority ethnic patients made up 33% of the kidney transplant waiting list. Okay, so yeah, here you'll see that, inequality, people of color are disproportionately cast into poverty and have more disabilities, more health issues, and therefore are much higher on the transplant list because of the medical issues that they have. Now, the researchers need to see how the newly changed O-type kidney will react to a patient's usual blood type in their normal blood supply. Yep, this machine allows them to do this before testing in people, as they can take the kidneys that have been changed to the O-type and introduce different blood types to monitor how the kidney might react. Professor Mike Nicholson, professor of transplant surgery at the University of Cambridge, said, "One of the biggest restrictions to who a donated kidney can be transplanted to is the fact that you have to be blood group compatible. The reason for this is that you have to have antigens and markers on your cells that can be either A or B. Your body naturally produces antibodies against the ones you don't have. Blood group classification is also determined via ethnicity, and ethnic minority groups are more likely to have a rarer B type." Dr. Eiling McMahon, the executive director of research at Kidney Research UK, said, "The research that Mike and Serena are undertaking is potentially game-changing. After testing the reintroduction of the other blood types, the team will look at how the approach might be used in a clinical setting." Cool. The research, which is funded by charity Kidney Research UK, is due to be published in the British Journal of Surgery in the coming months. Yeah, this is cool. This is super cool. If they can do that, they can have many, many more. Well, hopefully they can do this for all the other organs too, not just kidneys. Kidneys is just kind of the first starting point. Hopefully this can expand to all the other organs as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, I'm not going to read another one. Okay, that will be it. I've got about 8 minutes left. What do you guys want to talk about in the next 8 minutes? We're going to try not to stay up too late tonight. I'm hoping I can get through at least 2 of the last 3 Reapers from Warhammer 40k on the computer game. Hopefully I can get through 2 of them. We'll see. I have to go to the store too, because I'm missing apples, and applesauce so I can take my pills. Biden's, oh my god. Do you have a link? I've only seen pictures of it. It looks overtly fascist. I'm like, the red background in the back. Well, at least he's showing he's a Republican, right? I've not seen the speech. I've only seen the pictures. Do you have a link to it? I haven't. Okay. I don't listen to him because he's a fuckhead. Was it yesterday? Oh my god. Work. Friday? MAGA ideology. Okay. Okay, so this might be here. Let's see. Declaration. Oh my God. We're all created equal. The Constitution was. Oh, really? Oh, okay. I've only seen that the red lights in the background. Okay. I'll be curious to see if that's the case. So the Constitution was originally classist, racist, and misogynist to begin with. So you know there's people in the United States like to worship the Constitution, but it's fucking garbage. Excuse my French. Let's see. Set in motion an extraordinary experiment. We the people. Yes, classist, racist, misogynist. Documents embodies equality and democracy. Lie. We've never had a democracy in this country. Because classist, racist, misogynist. Let's see, blah, blah, under assault. Yes, they are, because you are president. It all began, speak as plainly as I can. Threats we face. The power we have in our own hands to meet these threats and the incredible future that lies in front of us, if only we choose it. You mean like fighting climate change and ending the United States as the largest terrorist organization in the world? Please say it. Please say it. We the people are the true heirs of this American experiment. Okay, whatever. These people have burning inside us the flame of liberty, which was snuffed out by the Constitution. Okay, the sacred flame is still snuffed out. The Constitution, a safe liberty, pursuit of happiness. I don't. It's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but I think that might have been in the Declaration of Independence. Pursuit of. Oh, okay. Looks like it is in the Constitution. Well, Declaration recognizing the rest. Okay, yeah, it was in the Constitution. I saw pictures of the speech. Why didn't at least one person point out that gives Fash vibes? Yeah, I've only seen pictures of it. Joe Bear says it might be MAGA created, but I'm curious to see if that is the case, or if it really is the way it was. Well, let's look at the video. This video here. Video. Biden's speech. I can't type.
My fellow Americans.
Okay, this looks. This is C-SPAN.
Please, if you have a seat, take it.
I don't have it.
I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America. Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its Declaration of Independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago.
This is
with an
C-SPAN,
idea
so it's official.
unique among nations. That in America.
Yikes. Yeah, that's pretty overt. This is yikes. 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 Either it's the complete lack of awareness or it's the complete awareness of what they're doing. Why red? That doesn't make any sense. We must be honest with ourselves. Okay. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremist threat. Very foundation of our republic. Well, so do you, you asshole. See, in the highlight here is also red. Check that out. The red of the blood of the innocent. Okay, not too much of what is happening is not normal. It is normal under capitalism. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremist. Okay, now that would be very clear. Very clear. Not every Republican, not every majority. Okay, blah, blah, blah. There's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, intimidated by Donald Trump. Sure. Hammer on MAGA people. Yeah, and that's... I mean, he's one of them. I mean, it would have been better if he would have run against Donald Trump as a Republican. He would have won, I think. Yeah, this is not good. This is not a good look. Fan the flames of political violence. Okay, sure. But Democrats sign on the dotted line for political violence and systemic and structural violence. Jim Crow Joe signed the tough on crime bills and things like that. He signed so that, and he worked to make sure that student loans couldn't be discharged by bankruptcy. Okay, tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. Oh God. Move forward or move backwards. MAGA Republicans had made their choice. This is not good. This is, when they talk about divisiveness, that is overtly divisive. Not just the pretty red back here, but calling out MAGA Republicans doesn't seem good. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost. Fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote and have your vote counted. Okay. So many people don't have the right to vote. So many people of color specifically, have to go through shitloads of stuff just to be able to vote. We've got people in prison who can't vote. Okay, I believe we could make America safer, so we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton. Okay, I talk about this in my policies. Gun safety laws, I mean, sure, there's something good to do, but ultimately, that's not really going to make us that much safer. If you really want to make us safer, you destroy inequality. Minimum wage, maximum wage, universal health care, universal education, universal daycare. That's what will reduce violence and everything else. I think there was from the Moneyless Society podcast, like I talked about earlier, James Gilligan, the professor who they were interviewing, he specifically said that if in cases where prisons gave prisoners access to college and get degrees and stuff like that, there's been zero recidivism. If you want to get rid of the crime problem, you destroy inequality. That's all there is to it. Okay, all right, guys, we've hit 5 o'clock. Thanks for bringing that up, Curly Bear. I've been meaning to take a look at it, but I haven't had a chance, and I was wondering if this was real, and it is. So it's yikes. All right, any last minute comments before we call this a day? Again, I stream on right now just Saturdays from 2 to 5 U.S. Central. I guess for Biden, it's just, the complete lack of, he knows who he serves. It's not the people. And it's just bad stuff. I thought about ripping apart his inaugural address, but I couldn't, just too much there because every single sentence I rip apart turned out to be a paragraph. So I'd be writing, yikes, over 100 pages. So many wrong things. All right. Anyone else? Last minute comments? Thank you, Gaming Mind. I'm so glad you made it, man. Hope your legs are doing okay. Anybody else? Rodko? And there's someone else here. Geek was here as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for gifting me with your time. I appreciate it. Have a great week. Stay COVID-free. And we'll see you guys next week. Woo! I need to get another button on here.